Hacker's Revenge. Chapter 1: The Betrayal. In the bustling city of Silicon Valley, a prodigious hacker named Ethan Waters had built a reputation for his impeccable coding skills. He was a part of an underground network of hackers who specialized in ethical hacking, breaking into systems to expose vulnerabilities before malicious hackers could exploit them. Ethan's alias, Phantom, was whispered about in every hacker forum, and his services were highly sought after by businesses and governments alike. But one day, everything changed. Ethan had spent months working on a project for a private corporation, Blackstone Industries, a tech giant with ties to government agencies. The project was a sophisticated cybersecurity system designed to protect sensitive data. Ethan was promised a massive payout once the project was completed, a deal he could not refuse. However, as he dove deeper into the project, he uncovered something horrifying. Hidden within the code were backdoor secret gateways that allowed Blackstone's executives to monitor personal communications and steal proprietary information from competitors. Initially, Ethan was unsure of what to do, but his conscience couldn't remain silent. He tried to confront his employer, but the higher-ups at Blackstone threatened him, destroying his reputation, sabotaging his career, and ruining his life. They even planted false evidence of his involvement in illegal activities, framing him for cybercrimes he didn't commit. Devastated and betrayed, Ethan vowed to seek revenge. But first, he needed to vanish from the public eye. Using his skills, he erased every trace of his existence from the digital world, leaving no way for anyone to track him. His alias, Phantom, would no longer be in the system. Chapter 2: The Dark Web. Ethan disappeared for several months, living off the grid in a small, nondescript apartment in an unknown location. The weight of his betrayal by Blackstone weighed heavily on him. Yet, the itch for justice could not be ignored. Ethan spent his days in silence, studying Blackstone Industries and its executives, gathering every bit of information he could on the people who had wronged him. He also dove deeper into the dark web, searching for ways to exact his revenge. The dark web was a realm of shadows where hackers, criminals, and government agents operated without fear of reprisal. It was there that Ethan discovered an underground group of hackers known as the Black Lotus, a collective of skilled individuals who specialized in cyber warfare and digital sabotage. The Black Lotus was feared by all who operated in the world of hacking. It was rumored that they had the ability to take down entire corporations and governments with just a few lines of code. Ethan knew that if he could align himself with them, his quest for revenge would be much easier to accomplish. Ethan reached out to the Black Lotus, presenting himself as a rogue hacker with a shared interest in taking down Blackstone Industries. The group was initially skeptical, but Ethan's reputation as Phantom preceded him. After weeks of testing his skills, they finally decided to accept him into their fold. Chapter 3. The First Strike. The Black Lotus had a strict code. Revenge was a dish best served cold. Their first mission was to break into Blackstone Industries systems and leak their most sensitive information to the public. Ethan and the group meticulously planned their attack, carefully mapping out the vulnerabilities within Blackstone's infrastructure. They knew that a direct assault would be too risky, so they decided to infiltrate Blackstone's network through a backdoor created by the very code Ethan had helped write. The attack was swift and precise. Within hours, the hackers gained access to Blackstone's internal servers, and Ethan began exfiltrating massive amounts of classified data, sensitive emails, financial records, and incriminating documents flooded the dark web, where they were quickly picked up by journalists and rival corporations. The information exposed the company's illegal activities, including corporate espionage, money laundering, and government corruption. Blackstone Industries was in chaos. Stock prices plummeted, and executives scrambled to contain the fallout. But Ethan wasn't done yet. He wanted to send a message that would resonate for years to come. He planted a digital time bomb within the company's most critical systems, an encrypted file that, once triggered, would completely destroy all of Blackstone's data and cripple its operations. Chapter 4. The Hunt. As the news of Blackstone's downfall spread, Ethan thought he had won. But what he hadn't anticipated was how far-reaching the company's influence had become. Blackstone was no longer just a tech giant. It had embedded itself deeply into the fabric of the global economy. The government had its claws in Blackstone, and they were not going to let one hacker destroy everything they had built. A specialized task force, known as the Digital Defense Division (DDD), was assigned to track down Phantom. The DDD was made up of the best cybersecurity experts, former hackers, and intelligence officers from around the world. Their mission was clear: find Ethan, capture him, and make an example of him. Ethan's life turned into a cat and mouse game. The DDD was always one step behind him, monitoring his every move. They traced his digital footprints across the dark web, analyzed his previous work, and launched cyber attacks to force him into the open. But Ethan was no amateur. He anticipated every move they made, covering his tracks and staying to steps. Ahead, still, the pressure was mounting. Ethan could feel the walls closing in on him. He couldn't stay hidden forever. Chapter 5, The Double Cross. As Ethan continued to outsmart the DDD, cracks began to appear within the Black Lotus. The leader of the group, a shadowy figure, known only as Kuro, grew increasingly paranoid about Ethan's success. While Kuro had once seen Ethan as an asset, he now viewed him as a liability. Kuro knew that Ethan's revenge against Blackstone could attract unwanted attention, and the heat from the DDD was closing in on the entire group. In an unexpected twist, Kuro betrayed Ethan, feeding his location to the DDD in exchange for immunity and protection. When the DDD arrived at Ethan's hideout, it was a bloodbath. They ambushed him, capturing him and taking him into custody. But even in captivity, Ethan was calm. He knew he had one final trick up his sleeve. The encrypted time bomb he had planted within Blackstone's systems was still ticking, waiting for the right moment to detonate. Chapter 6, The Last Stand. Ethan sat in a dimly lit interrogation room, facing the very people he had once outsmarted. The DDD interrogators were confident that they had broken him. They offered him Deal's information in exchange for a lighter sentence, protection from Blackstone's retaliation, but Ethan refused to cooperate. Then, as the interrogators grew frustrated, Ethan made a simple, chilling statement. "You can arrest me, but Blackstone will fall. It's only a matter of time." The DDD scoffed, dismissing him as a madman. But what they didn't know was that Ethan had prepared for this very moment. The time bomb he had planted in Blackstone's systems had been set to trigger at a specific time, and that time had finally come. As the countdown began, chaos erupted in Blackstone's headquarters. The entire network collapsed, sending the company into a spiral of financial ruin. The DDD watched helplessly as Blackstone's data was destroyed, and their plans for revenge disintegrated into nothingness. Chapter 7, Redemption. Ethan's actions had not only taken down Blackstone, but they had also exposed the deep-rooted corruption within the tech industry and government. Despite his capture, Ethan became a symbol of resistance. His name was spoken of with reverence in the underground hacker communities, and even the press began to see him as a hero. In the end, Ethan's revenge was not about destroying Blackstone, it was about exposing the rot at the core of the world he once inhabited. The hackers, the government, the corporations, they all operated in a system where power was abused, and people like Ethan were nothing more than pawns in their game. But Ethan had won. Blackstone had been brought to its knees, and its corrupt executives were forced to face the consequences of their actions. Ethan's story became a legend, a warning to those who thought they could hide behind their power and influence. And though he had taken down a giant, his war was far from over. The battle between the hackers and the corrupt powers that be would continue. One line of code at a time, and so the legend of Phantom lived on. The end.